Done. 0. Notes. Full. 3 tabs open. 1 outline document. Section headers already written. Task tracker beside it. Research. Checked. Examples. Checked. Structure. Checked. Start draft. Empty. Done. 0. Deadline in 4 days. You open the draft. Cursor blinking at line 1. Then back to the notes. One more thing to verify first. That's the pattern. You weren't avoiding the task. You were preparing for it. And preparation kept feeling responsible enough to continue. The notes grow. The output doesn't. From the inside, this does not feel like procrastination. It feels like care. You are trying to do it properly, trying not to rush, trying to make sure the structure is right before you start. So the preparation phase stays open. One more source, one more comparison, one more refinement pass. The tracker keeps moving, but only inside preparation. The output row is still empty. Done. 0. Watch the sequence. Open the draft. Type 1 line. Delete it. Back to the outline. Back to the notes. New tab. New detail. New adjustment. The draft is still at line 1. You are active the entire time. That's why the loop survives. It does not look inactive. It looks productive. But preparation and action are not the same track. Preparation can expand forever. Action cannot. Action requires a state change. Something gets submitted or it does not. Something gets sent or it does not. Something becomes done. 1 or it stays done. 0. Preparation has no ceiling. There is always another thing to improve, another thing to clarify, another thing to organize. So the preparation stack grows. The output stack stays frozen. The notes are real. The plan is real. The outline is real. You did work, but none of it flipped the state. The tracker still says what it said 3 hours ago. Done. 0. Then the environment moves. The early price disappears. The slot fills. The application window closes. The calendar date passes. Now the screen looks worse. Preparation stack full. Opportunity gone. Output still blank. You knew enough to start 2 weeks ago, but preparation kept extending itself. The draft stayed open. The state never changed. Done. 0. This is where the loop hides. Because the preparation was not fake. You really were trying to improve the result. You really were trying to reduce mistakes. You really were trying to be ready. That is why it stays respectable. Nobody criticizes preparation. Nobody says, you are researching too carefully. You are organizing too much. You are trying too hard to do this correctly. So the loop stays clean. You open the draft again. Cursor blinking. Back to the notes. One more adjustment before starting properly. The deadline is tomorrow. The draft is still at line 1. Done. 0. A week later, the preparation stack is larger. The task feels heavier, not because the task changed, because the gap changed. Now there are more notes to honor, more structure to preserve, more things to integrate correctly. Preparation started as support for the task. Now the task is supporting the preparation loop. Every return to preparation reduces discomfort immediately. You stop feeling exposed for a moment. You stop feeling unready for a moment. You stop feeling uncertain for a moment. So the brain learns, return here, stay here. Do not cross into output yet. Relief arrives now. Cost arrives later. That difference keeps the loop running, even after you recognize it. A job application folder. Company research complete. Cover letter notes detailed. Submission portal closed. Application sent. 0. A creative project. Reference folder organized. Mood board complete. Outline refined 3 times. First real file still blank. Someone else started with less preparation. They already shipped. Now they have feedback. Now they have iteration. Now they have improvement. Your knowledge grew. Your output count did not. That is the second cost. Not just closed windows. Frozen capability. The feedback loop only starts after output exists. Preparation cannot replace that. You cannot improve work that never entered the world. And the longer this runs, the stronger the shield gets. At first, it is simple. I'm being thorough. Later, it becomes a moving standard. The more you research, the more gaps you see. The more notes you take, the more unfinished preparation appears to exist. The more careful you become, the more dangerous starting feels. So readiness keeps moving away from you. Not because you are getting less prepared, because preparation keeps raising the standard. Done. 0. That is the important part. Not the notes, not the tabs, not the plans. The unchanged state. The loop has no internal exit. Preparation can always continue. A cleaner outline does not force action. A better plan does not force action. More research does not force action. The loop only breaks when the output state changes. That is the missing event. Not motivation, not confidence, not clarity, a visible completion event. One real output unit, not research, not planning, not preparation, output. Small enough to finish in one sitting, visible enough to mark complete, no preparation counts. Only done, one counts. Put one real output unit into the tracker. Finish it, mark it done. Then the screen changes. Done. 0 becomes done. 1. That is the interruption point. Not because the output is impressive, because the state finally flipped. Until that happens, preparation can keep expanding forever, while the real task never technically begins. Look at what you have been working on longest. How many completion events does it show?